Hey folks, my name is Mo Amir and this is VANCOLOUR, British Columbia's bona fide culture and politics TV talk show. Tonight, so close to municipal elections in British Columbia, let's talk about low voter turnout. Decisions at City Hall directly impact your day-to-day life. So why do British Columbians not show up in the same numbers as they would in a provincial or federal election? Pollster extraordinaire Mario Canseco returns to the program to share his insights. But first, breaking with tradition, the Vancouver Police Union has endorsed a mayoral candidate in the City of Vancouver's municipal election. Which is weird, right? Individual VPD officers are usually disciplined if they make political statements in uniform. And Toronto's local police union is barred from endorsing any political candidate or party. On the other hand, unions, business associations, and even media outlets make political endorsements all the time. So how exactly does the Vancouver Police Union's decision to endorse Vancouver mayoral candidate Ken Sim constitute political interference? Our first guest tonight will make his case. He's a Vancouver City Council candidate for Vote Socialist, number 108 on your ballot if you live in Vancouver. He is Sean Orr. Sean, so nice to see you.
Nice to have me on, yeah.
Thanks for being here. Your fans, your supporters are relentless. I can't go 48 hours without receiving an email or a direct message, people just saying, Mo, when is Sean Orr coming on the show? Mo, have you spoke to Sean Orr? Mo, get Sean Orr on the show. They are rabid.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. I think I'm definitely resonating with the people for sure, and I've got a platform that backs that up. So I think I was also probably bugging you to get on the show. Slide into your DMs.
Well, you're here, and I appreciate it. Let's talk about the Vancouver Police Union. So they came out, and for the first time ever, they actually endorsed a political candidate in Vancouver's municipal election. You've been very vocal saying that this is an overstep, they should not be doing this. What's the big deal? I mean, organizations endorse political candidates all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unprecedented for a reason, and I think legal experts agree. A lot of legal experts have raised the alarm. Like you said, Toronto doesn't do it. Ottawa has. But you see that it's in reaction to a lot of calls for their budget to be examined. In my case, for their budget to be defunded. So we see it as a reactionary ploy to influence voters in that way. And, you know, like it's unprecedented for a reason. I see it as that the judicial and the executive should be kept separate. Mm-hmm. And also just the fact that and I've said this a couple of times, I don't think people with guns should be telling you how to vote. That seems like a slippery slope into, you know, fascism, you know, to put it bluntly.
Right. So there are going to be some people who go, well, you know, public sector unions are allowed to endorse candidates and business associations are allowed to endorse candidates. Mm-hmm. So why can't the police union endorse a candidate as well? I mean, they're not actually going out with their guns telling people to vote for, you know, this candidate, are they?
Well, I mean, maybe not, but that when you see them in uniform, you know, how do you know? Like, am I targeted because I have different political views? You know, are you upholding the law fairly across the board? Because this is what we count on them. We count on them to be impartial. To a couple of your points there, most unions represent workers. This union represents the employer, VPD. So it's very different in that sense. The other sense is that historically they have not been a part of the labor movement. They are not part of the BC Fed. They're not part of the Canadian labor movement as well. In fact, they were invented essentially to crush the labor movement, its roots. So if you just look up things like Ginger Goodwin was murdered by the police, a prominent labor activist. If you look up the Battle of Ballantine Pier, bloody battle where the police came in and you know, beat up striking workers. You know, we see that they've never been a part of the movement. And like those other associations that you mentioned, a professional association, if one of their members is found in breach of public trust, they will be censored. You know, a lawyer will be disbarred, a judge will face consequences, but rather the police protect their members. They shield them from those consequences, and they obfuscate and obstruct justice in many ways from happening.
One of the things I wonder about is that the mayor sits on the police board. And so now suddenly when you have police endorsing a candidate, is there, an inherent conflict of interest that might be different than a public sector union endorsing a mayoral candidate?
Absolutely, yeah. And because if you're supposed to be working, like if Kennedy does get reelected, does he have faith in the police board? And that's why I'm really calling on for the police board to be disbanded.
Completely
disbanded.
Oh, wow.
With electoral oversight. These people aren't elected. They have elected representatives, but a fully elected police board that is accountable to citizens. I think a lot of people understand that the police need to be held accountable and that they should be elected. When the police were asked to freeze their budget during a pandemic, when all other departments took a cut, they refused. They took it to the police board. The police board, who's an RCMP officer named Wayne Rideout, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, basically said no, they need these millions of dollars to police poverty in the downtown east side, even though they claim to only spend $283 a year on the downtown east side and policing poverty. But that's another issue.
This was the province that then intervened.
Yes, and it's the province that said no. So they already have this extreme power.
Yeah.
They have power to veto your elected representatives. They don't need the power to influence elections.
So one of my issues in delving into anything police related, particularly in the city of Vancouver, is that there seems to be two polarized camps. There are the folks that will always defend the police, and then there are folks, maybe like yourself, who want to defund the police. But when we talk about police intervention in terms of politics, this seems more like a public accountability issue than one of those two polarized sides. Is that a fair assessment, that ultimately this is just about accountability? It's not about whether you like the police or don't like the police?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people across the political spectrum are agreeing with that. They're seeing that. You've got even my uncle's a lawyer, a judge and a lawyer. No, he's a lawyer. Sorry. Sorry, John. But he expressed concerns. You've got criminologists saying the same thing. I think it's really concerning. And I think that the reason why this issue has really kind of blown up in the last few days is because of that. Is because it's a nonpartisan issue that we want the police to be neutral and impartial, and I think it's concerning to a lot of people, and yeah, we're seeing that. Like I went to that the all candidates debate. I wasn't invited to.
You crashed it.
I crashed it, and some people said, oh, they should have, you should have let him talk, or you should have invited him, and I said, no, I don't want to spend any time in that room because I don't think that event should even happen.
Right.
I think
the police should not be hosting candidates.
All candidates events. They should not be advertising as a third party. They should be neutral.
Well, hey, Sean, you've run a really inspired campaign, and I wish you all the best this weekend.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks so much for being here. Folks, that was Vancouver City Council candidate for Vote Socialist, the People's candidate. I lost count of how many folks had requested me to bring him on the show. He is Sean Orr. Now, after some business, let's keep talking about municipal elections here in BC, and let's examine why voter turnout for these elections is always so low. Why aren't British Columbians interested in a level of government that has a direct impact on their communities? Pollster extraordinaire Mario Canseco will give us his thoughts up next. I'm Mo Amir. This is VANCOLOUR.